Hello and welcome to North Country Matters. My name is Donna Seymour. I'm a member of the St. Lawrence County League of Women Voters, one of the civic partners for our show. My guest today is Kathleen Stein, the local president of the League of Women Voters, and a very much an appreciated and repeat guest here on the show with me. Today, we're here to talk about the mechanics of running for your local school board of election. Kathy, welcome back to North Country Matters. One of the things the League is very good at is providing information about how to run for elected office. Why is that so important in today's world?
Well, thank you, Donna. Thank you again for having me here. I always enjoy our time together. It's important because the individual citizens are the ones that know the issues that matter in their communities. And in this case, you know what the struggles are that your school is having. And in many communities, especially smaller and more rural ones, candidates often run opposed, and that is true for school board elections as well. And in this case, this means your school community needs more leaders like you to step up and give voters a choice. Running for school board is an excellent way to make a difference in your community. And people should know the Board of Education is a uniquely American institution. Other countries don't do this. Um, Boards of education oversee the community's public school system. They ensure that public schools are flexible, responsive to the needs of the individual community. Except for boards in New York State, except for boards in Yonkers in New York City, where board members are not elected, school boards in New York State are comprised of elected volunteers from the community who dedicate their time to better education.
Thank you. And that is such an important role that citizens play in their local school community because you're quite right. Nobody knows the local school system like the people who are living in that district, who are sending their kids to get educated there, and who are paying local taxes in order to support that education. So,
Absolutely.
Kathy, who decides when school board elections are held?
The state of New York sets the schedule so that that is uniform across the state. And by state law, school board and budget elections in all districts, except for the biggest urban areas, they do have some flexibility, and those would be Buffalo, New York City, Rochester, Syracuse, and Yonkers. All the rest, the elections must be held on the third Tuesday in May. And so in 2025, the dates to remember are April 21st. That's when petitions must be filed for central, union-free, which has nothing to do with labor unions. It's an old term for a certain kind of school district, and common school districts. That's April 21st is the petition filing deadline. April 30th, the petitions must be filed for small city school districts. On May 20th is the vote. So that's the relevant Tuesday in May this year, May 20th. That's the date for budget vote and election day. And on June 17th, there's the option for a budget revote. If the original budget was not passed, they can have a budget revote. So now, as you can tell by these dates, that now is the time to start thinking about running for school board if you're interested.
That's right, because those deadlines are coming up rather rapidly in terms of you getting a petition, filing a petition, and making sure that you can get the signatures that you need. So it is important to be aware of the schedule, especially if you want to be running in this year's election. So who should think about running for school board, Kathy?
Well, first of all, you need to sort of think of the responsibilities and the kind of activity that being on a school board really involves. As we've been stressing, this is one of the most important citizen responsibilities in our communities, overseeing the education of the community's young people. And in these difficult times for public education, difficult in various ways, school boards need people willing to confront tough challenges and be able to work collegially, really work together, to rise above, difficulties and disagreements, and helps the students in the community succeed. The possibility of federal challenges to local control of public education are very real right now. We've heard this said at a confirmation hearing recently. So a school board member has to be somebody who is an effective communicator, someone who can clearly describe, what they want, and also describe what others want, which means they have to be a good listener as well. They also have to be a consensus builder, someone who's capable of working toward decisions that all can support and be willing to compromise to achieve goals. And they also have to be a community participator, someone who enjoys meeting and working with a variety of people and who can identify the community stakeholders and reach out to them.
Those are really important attributes, and there's also some others that you should be thinking about if you are thinking that you're the person to run for a school board. You have to be a decision maker. You have to be comfortable making decisions, and you have to be able to support the decisions that the group has made afterwards. There's no point in trying to undermine a decision if you didn't agree with it. You had your opportunity to participate and to influence it during the process. You have to be a good information processor. You have to be able to organize priorities and schedules to handle a large amounts of verbal and written information. Anyone who has ever attended a school board meeting knows that the school board members have to be on top of everything that they are being given prior to the meeting, because there's so much information that goes into making good decisions. And you also need to be a leader. So you have to be willing to take risks, be supportive of your board colleagues, the district staff, and the community. It's really a balancing game in many ways. And it's also important to be a team player. You have to help promote the board's vision and goals. And those goals and visions are always set using a deliberative process that is a consensus model. So once that happens, you should be able to support them without any qualms or questions. So if you think this describes you, then it's time to throw your hat in the ring.
That's right. That's right. The school board members have, various, important responsibilities, but whatever they do, they have to keep school children's best interests front and center as they work together, and create a kind of shared vision with other members of the board. So the school board sets the direction of the school district to achieve the highest student performance. Obviously, that's, the ideal is to get students the best education that they can get, and also accountability, rigorous accountability for student achievement results. The school board also develops a budget and presents it to the community, which requires aligning the school district's resources with what the schools need to accomplish their mission. The school board must also support a healthy culture for work and learning in the school district, and create strategic partnerships with community stakeholders to bring other community stakeholders in to, work on various educational goals or extracurricular goals there. And finally, as part of their duty, school boards adopt and maintain policies. They hire and evaluate the school superintendent, and they ratify collective bargaining agreements. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, with staff, with financing and things like that. So it's quite a broad range of things that a school board deals with. I mean, people don't always think they think of maybe they think of the taxes and that's it, but there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and it kind of goes back to what those attributes we were talking about being a team player and understanding your role in a much broader context than perhaps you have thought about before. So once a person has made a commitment to run for your local school board, there are requirements, deadlines, and processes that must be adhered to. School board candidates must be U.S. citizens, at least 18 years old, and qualified voters in the school district. And they're expected to be able to read and write. They must be residents of their district continuously for at least 1 year before the election, and they cannot be employed by the board on which they serve or live in the same household with a family member who is also a member of the same school board. So in other words, you can't pack a school board with members with more than one member of a family, which makes a lot of sense because you're looking for diversity
Yes.
of opinions and skills and experience on a school board.
Yes, this is definitely a case where nepotism rules are are relevant. So here are the basic mechanics of running, but remember, you should always call your individual school district that you're thinking of running in and ask any questions. Generally, candidates must submit a nominating petition to the school district clerk. The petition must be signed by at least 25 qualified district voters or 2% of the number of those who voted in the previous annual school board election, whichever number is larger. In small city school districts, nominating petitions must be signed by at least 100 qualified voters. So again, you need to check with your local district to see what the numbers are, the petition requirements are where you live. The petition must include the following information: the candidate's name and where they live, their residence, the vacancy in question, the incumbent's name, if there is an incumbent, residence of the persons who sign the petition. So each person who signs the petition has to, put their address in there to verify that they are voters within the district, and the length of the term of office for which the candidate is being nominated. Usually you can get blank petitions from your school district clerk, and the district website, you will find the clerk there and how to contact them where their office is. If a school district has candidates run for seats at large, such that each nominee is eligible for each vacancy, which many districts do, the nominating petition doesn't have to specify which incumbent seat you're running for, the nominee is seeking. The petition must be filed with the district clerk at least 30 days before the election, 20 days in small city school districts.
And the other thing to keep in mind is, and this again is something that you check with your local district, but not all school district board members serve for the same length of time. Some serve for 5 years, some for 2 or for 3, some for 4. So you need to find out what the average length of time is in your district, so you have another sense of what your commitment is going to be. And as with any elected office, you can also choose to run as a write-in candidate, but you may not be very successful. However, in very local races, such as a school board race, sometimes write-in candidates do get elected. So don't be afraid to try your luck, especially if you happen to miss the filing deadline. And sometimes the reason that you decide to run happens after the filing deadline, so you couldn't really have anticipated what that reason was. So go for it. Once you have filed your petition to run or decided to run as a write-in candidate, it's time to think about how you will go about letting people know that you are a candidate in your district. And there are a number of things that you might do. One, of course, always is word of mouth. Talk to people. Letters to the editor from you or your supporters. You can use posters or lawn signs, paid ads in local media. Your personal or a candidate website or social media account is another way to contact potential voters. Appearing at local events to meet and greet people. Often sporting events are a great way to find a lot of people who are interested in the school system, so that might be one avenue for you. And you can participate in Meet the Candidate events or debates held by the local parent-teacher association or other school-based groups.
Yes, and as with other elections, it's important to remember that if you spend any money on your campaign, you must report that to the proper authority. State law requires all candidates for election to a Board of Education to file a sworn statement with the district clerk disclosing their campaign expenses and the contributions that they received for their campaign. Statements have to be filed at 3 different times during the election period, and then there's usually one sort of after the election. Again, one more time, check with your district to see exactly what the dates are where you are. If contributions received or expenditures made by the candidate or by the candidate, other people on the candidate's behalf, exceed $500, a statement should also be filed with the state commissioner of education. Expenditures of not more than 25, okay, small donations made without the candidate's permission. If the donor or donors file a sworn statement with the clerk and the commissioner stating the candidate did not approve the expenditure, those don't count towards the $500 total.
Right. This New York State School Boards Association is a great place to go for more information. They, known as NISBA, they were founded in 1896 in Utica, New York, with over 100 years of commitment. NISBA serves as the statewide voice for more than 670 boards of education. And if you do get elected, NISBA will give you the training you need to be a great school board member and a strong advocate for students and education in your district.
Many people get their first experience as an elected official by serving on their local school board. And they discover they like that serving the community. So we hope that this has helped you think about the process of running for school board and maybe more. Um, whether or not you want to run for election, at least this gives you a better idea of what's involved.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Kathy, so much for coming in today to talk about this. Uh, we know from previous elections, and you had mentioned it earlier, that so many times people run unopposed, which means the voters have no choice. And it isn't just for school board, it's for other races as well, local races, county, state. When there is only an incumbent on the ballot, the voters sometimes are pretty frustrated because maybe they would prefer to have a choice. Not that they wouldn't vote for the incumbent, but they want the choice, and you can't blame them for that. So think about running for school board. It is an incredibly important job, but it's also a very satisfying job because you are working at the most local level to make a real difference in your community and for the children who live in your community. And nothing is more important than taking care of the future of the children of our communities.
The future, exactly. They are our future.
All right. So thanks again, Kathy, for coming in.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome. These conversations are a production of North Country Matters. This show is a civic collaboration between the League of Women Voters of St. Lawrence County and the Potsdam Public Library. Until next time, remember, our North Country matters, our school boards matter, and our young people matter. So think about running for election.